Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at mrdirk.com. Hope you had a fantastic Monday, folks, or if it's Tuesday for you right now, hope your day is going great. What's your sign? Have you ever asked anybody that? Hopefully not, it's kind of creepy. But tonight we're going to dig into signs. Northern Farm Girl, a favorite on the Got Your Back stream, has sent along some astrological readings. Oh yes, that will be coming up in takeaways tonight. You're welcome, Martin Motorsports. That, plus a ton more. Lots of Oilers stuff to talk about. Can't wait to get to it. This has Got Your Back. Thank you for tuning in. As always, our show is brought to you by Play Alberta, our title sponsor. When you gamble, use your game sense. Play Alberta makes it easy to set deposit limits, time limits, and more so you can play casino games and bet on sports safely, securely, and responsibly. Everything you need to know is at playalberta.ca. I'm coming at you from the somewhat darkened Adrenaline Diesel studio here tonight in the park. It's Edmonton's premier heavy-duty diesel truck repair shop, specializing in powertrain tuning, performance, and parts sales as well. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. It's an off-night show, so we have the full complement sort of right off the get-go. We got Zuby at the controls. He's doing well. I'm doing reasonably well, but we got a banged-up Brownie. We got a banged-up Struddy. Both of the fellas playing a little hurt tonight. Brownie, you are fighting through it this week.
Yeah, it's better this week. It wasn't good last week. I almost didn't make it through the Oilers game against the Leafs the other day. Voice wasn't very good. Got better with Struds carrying me after the game, but stupid cold. Getting old sucks, Shogger. It really does. The colds last a little bit longer.
Really? You noticed that, hey?
Yeah, you are getting older. But the difference between some people on the pod and others is that we're not predicting 3 days in advance we're getting sick. Oh, I feel this coming on. I feel it coming on. So I had a tinkle in my throat the other day, and then I went and coached 4 hours of hockey, and my voice cracked. It went out. It gave out. I mean, sooner or later, everything's going to break and bend, right? So it was a rough night last night, but I doubled down today, still got out there, and here we are tonight, hammering it out again, boys.
You just power through, Struds? Like nothing gets you down? What does it take?
Well, no, I know I'm not a hero, but like there's things I have to do. Like I have to go and coach. I just can't stay off. Like I got to do the pod. I don't really have a choice, right? This is the way it is. It's like
I did notice though
today for the surgery.
I noticed today though, Strud, you weren't feeling well. You weren't playing much defense in our game today. Actually, no defense. I didn't see you the entire game in front of our own net. Not one.
Well, if you want to bring it up, I made a New Year's resolution to no longer just defend and shut grade 10 students down. I'm trying now to make grade 10 students have bad days in their nets. And I'm just blasting point shots at them. So change the tactics, buddy. How to change it up.
So this is interesting, Struds, because you've just reminded me of something. Zuby, you know what I'm about to say here. We forgot. We completely forgot. But we have some video evidence of Struds' game this year. So you were playing the game the other day, last week. Was it against our friends from the military?
Yeah, soldier on. Just giving back. You know, I like to give back.
Yes. Playing in a game, soldier on. It's a great cause. Great crew comes out. But Zuby, there was a significant amount of video that's been forwarded to Zuby of Strud's game, Brownie. You're going to love this. And Zuby, we just tonight would have been the perfect night. We'll do it this week sometime.
Yeah.
But we have some video breakdown of Strud's game as it exists now.
Well, you actually can do Strud's game in still pictures. You don't need video because I've been on the ice with him every Monday. You don't need a video of it. It's like there's a picture of him. There's another, hasn't moved. There's another, still hasn't moved. So he's easy for the photographer to get pictures of him in game action.
Modeling my game after Nick Lidstrom. You don't have to get there fast as long as you get there first. And I always in the right place. The soldier on, I had a really tough sequence, and I'm not even going to blame my partners, although I had multiple.
Struds.
They were trying to find anyone to play with me. It was bad. At one point, I think I was -4. -4, like a 6-5 game.
I only stayed for the first 10 minutes. I shot 3 of your shifts. You were already -2 and had apologized to your bench twice before I left.
I did. But that's when I dialed it up. That's when I reached down and still got 2 more minuses. And then I started getting pluses. And then I had to leave early I think they'll pick up my kids. I would have got back to even, but I think there was only when I left, there was 10 goals scored. I was on for 7 of them. It was just an absolute gong show.
Did you see his team celebrate when his team celebrated? Struds is leaving. Yay!
Cheered.
Zuby, I'd be interested to know. I would be interested to know some of Schwede's analysis of Struddy's shifts there, Zuby.
Yeah, we might be able to hook that up because nobody knows about effort and stick-to-itiveness like he does. So I think he'd be the perfect person maybe to analyze
the Schwede.
Yeah. So we might have to look into that. We'll look into that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I loved it. I've been critical of him. He can be critical of my game as long as he's open and honest, right?
Yeah.
I'll come with an agenda.
There was some net front coverage that was like, oh boy. Yeah. Can't wait to break that down in a couple. But we got some other stuff to break down. So let's get to our breakdown, brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. The 4x4 winter event is here. Get up to $11,200 in total discounts on a 2024 Ram 1500 DT Bighorn at your Alberta Ram dealer. Make sure you go see your Ram dealer today. Okay, guys, we will have astrological readings by Northern Farm Girl in our next segment, so we got to get through some other content here in the opening segments. A few topics I want to hit on. I want to hit on Podkolzin, Klingberg. We'll take a look at Connor McDavid's game and then a little chat about Evan Bouchard. Pretty strong article there from Spec, suggesting that Bouchard needs to be giving more than he is. So we'll dive into some of that. So let's start with Podkolzin and perhaps how he relates to the lines today, guys. So McDavid, Draisaitl, and Corey Perry. Then they had Arvidsson with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Jeff Skinner with Adam Henrique and Kasperi Kapanen. Podkolzin down to the 4th line on the left side, consistent with the minutes he played last game. Noah Philp in the middle and Matthias Janmark / Connor Brown also on that 4th line. So 7:49 last game, Brownie, on the 4th line as it sits right now. And here is the head coach talking about what he has seen.
Just not keeping the game as simple as he had been earlier. Trying to make an extra play. Often he spent a little more time in the defensive zone. And just a little clean up his puck play a little bit.
All right, there you have it. Brownie, what do you make of Podkolzin here, the performance last game in the minutes, and then the line he's on today?
Well, I think it just goes back to what we've talked about all season long. I've right from the beginning, I said he's not a second line player. He doesn't have an offensive punch. He's got 6 goals on the season, and he's got 1 in his last 11 games. And that's playing primarily with the best player in the league. Love his work ethic. I love his compete, his physicality. There's everything about his game I love, but he doesn't finish. When he's playing with Leon, he can get Leon the puck. He can keep plays alive. He can be the worker bee on that line. But if Leon's playing with Connor, he doesn't, when he's playing with Nuge or with second line or third line guys, there's no production there. And the benefit of him getting Leon the puck is no longer there because he's not with Leon. To me, he's best suited as a bottom 6 forward that gives you energy. And I think he can be a very effective player in that role. I would like him more than 7 minutes. To me, I really would like him on the 3rd line with his physicality, get him about 10, 12 minutes. He can make a difference that way. But I don't think he's been as noticeable as of late. And I think a big part of it is he hasn't been with Leon. He's been on other lines, and he seems quieter on those lines.
Yeah, it's well said, Brown. I think one of the challenges he's facing is that he's maybe trying to get himself positioned to be a more skilled player. So when you do that, you start taking more risk, and maybe those plays aren't there, or forcing things that aren't there. So it's always a balance for a guy like that, right? You're trying to move up, and everyone's trying. Let's say there's not a player alive that isn't trying to move up the lineup, but as you move up, you can't lose what makes you special. And for him, what makes him special is being heavy on the forecheck, heavy on pucks, and retrieving pucks to move towards other players, right? Like to get it off your stick and then move towards the net again. So he can get that. That's his game. But when you do play with a Leon or someone's more skilled, you're always trying to, because you've said it, Brown, you're trying to make more plays than maybe are that even there or you're capable of. So that'll be something for him to negotiate, maybe work on in the offseason. But for right now, when he skates and is on his forecheck and heavy on pucks, he's a handful. And he can do all those things on the fourth line. Unfortunately, that's 7 or 8, 9 minutes on this team. Doesn't mean he can't move up again at some point. So put in the extra time before and after practice, because honestly, playing 7, 8 minutes a night, it's not very taxing.
Bobo Fett says Pod's game normalizing into bottom 6 energy player. Yeah, I mean, that's what he was traded to be. And I think we all know the reason he spent the time in the top 6 that he has is because Jeff Skinner hasn't worked out up there. And because the Oilers don't necessarily have a great fit for their top 6 with Skinner not having worked out in either of those roles. So this is about making something work. And Podkolzin has done a really good job effort-wise. I think he's done a really good job considering what he's accomplished in his career to this point. Hanging around on Leon Draisaitl's line as long as he has is a credit to his work ethic and his tenacity and how much respect the players have for him. But I like that point from Bobo Fett, probably falling a little bit more to where he should be. And this is about a lack of options in that spot of true top 6 forwards. And I can't help but wonder if that's something that the Oilers are going to have to look at addressing here towards the trade deadline. If they don't need little more punch up near the top of the lineup again, Evander Kane, we will see. But I wouldn't be depending on Evander Kane in that situation. 2 games with John Klingberg, guys. I know there were tough looks. The offside, whatever, tough timing. And then there was the fall early on in the Toronto game. But I would submit that through 2 games being thrown into the deep end, Struds, with the minutes he had to play with Ekholm out, I would say it's better than I thought it would be considering how little he's played. Where are you at on the signs we're seeing from Klingberg?
Well, we touched on a little bit the other night, and I think the coach did a great job. With the puck, he looks very comfortable. Without the puck, he's still trying to find it, right? Trying to find it being the physical play, the heaviness, the movement, the reaction, all that stuff. And then we got to think about a guy who hasn't had has had sore hips since, what is he, 18 or 19 or 20 years old, which is crazy. So he's trying to learn what the new world feels like with that. So with the puck, I'm really comfortable with the plays he makes and the plays he tries to make. And those more skilled players have to have a little bit more rope to make those plays. It's away from the puck he has to continue to work on. And I honestly think that the Four Nations Cup's the worst thing for him. He needs to just keep playing games. And I wouldn't send him in the minors because I don't want him getting hurt. But this is probably one guy who wishes that it wasn't a break in the NHL today.
You're right, Struds. And this goes back to what we talked about when he first was coming back. You can practice all you want. And the hands things are good. Like you can make the plays, you can jump up in the play. It's reading situations defensively because as much as you practice in practice, nobody in practice is going 100%. Nobody's using the physicality. Having a guy like William Nylander coming down on you, he broke his ankles. He's not seeing that in practice over and over again. So the defensive part of the game will come with time. Just the more he plays, the better he's going to get. He's going to be able to read things. So there's guys on the Oilers right now that have been here for a couple of years that don't read defensive plays very well. So you got to give the guy that's only played 2 games a little bit of a chance to catch up with the systems that the Oilers play.
All right, to the Weiss Johnson sound box. Weiss Johnson is offering 10% off any new furnace installed before March 1st. Should you need to replace your furnace because it stopped working or if it's just getting old and unreliable and you want a newer, better model that is more efficient like Shona, mention you heard it on Got Your Back podcast when you book your estimate and you'll receive 10% off your new furnace price. Visit weiss-johnson.com today. Jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
I believe this is the head coach on Klingberg, if I hit the right button.
Puck play, I think, is outstanding. I think just getting used to the speed, and that's mostly on the defending. I think defending or moving the puck has been great. But, for the situation he's done in, I think he's been doing a really good job.
Okay, once more to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here, guys. Connor McDavid did do a media availability today, and I want to get into a bit of a conversation here about the season that McDavid is having and what we are seeing. We'll get into some of the numbers in a moment. First, McDavid asked today just about overall the team lately. Lots of shots, lots of opportunities, but not necessarily with a ton of finish, and that's something that they're looking for.
So we're getting quality looks. It's just the way it goes sometimes, not going in. You can see that kind of around the league. I feel like offense has been down everywhere, but it's not for a lack of effort. It's not for a lack of getting looks. I feel like we get looks every night, and we're finding a way to get 2 or 3 every night. But we haven't had one of those where you break it open. So good news is we defend pretty well. So we're finding ways to win games. We usually just need to find 3 every night to win.
All right, there is the captain, Connor McDavid. Okay, guys, let's dig into McDavid a little bit here. Struds, if I were to get you to fill in the blank, how would you do it? If I were to say Connor McDavid's season so far has been blank.
Played with the governor on. I believe that he is monitoring and making sure there's energy is going to be there later in the season. There's a question period he was asked earlier about if they were physical enough. And he mentioned a couple times when he was physical and he went out of his way to get a couple hits, and he recognizes those moments, and he hasn't had those. Now, does he have to be a massive hitter to play the game? No, but we've seen more physicality from him, and that I think so. That to me is telling me he is monitoring his health and his energy as he goes through the season.
Brownie, what do you think of that concept?
I don't know. I don't think he's as physical as he can be. And I do believe they're all conscious of that. This is not a physical team. I don't think he's monitoring his game at all. I don't think he's got a governor on. I mean, to me, the biggest thing with Connor McDavid is the puck hasn't found the back of the net, not through lack of opportunities. This year, more than any of all the years that he's been here, he's missed breakaways where he hasn't scored. It used to be when Connor McDavid had a breakaway, it was automatic. He's been stopped this year. This year on 2-on-1s. He is either the puck has been bobbled going to his teammate, the teammate hasn't scored, or there's been a number of times this year where Connor has shot on a 2-on-1 that it hasn't gone in. That's just bad puck luck. I mean, sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. I don't think there's a lack of opportunities for him. I think if he could easily have 10 more goals on the season without changing anything that what he's done, had the pucks just gone in for him. So to me, I think he's been good this year. I think he's probably second, third in the league in points per game because he's a little down because he hasn't played as many games as some of the top guys. So I think he's second or third at worst. So he's having a good year. I just think the puck luck hasn't been there like it has been in the past for Connor McDavid. And I think that's the biggest thing for him. I don't think there's been a whole lot different in his game. Just haven't capitalized on as many chances as he has in the past.
1.46 points per game. That has him at fourth. Draisaitl at 1.48, as is McKinnon, and Kucherov is leading the way at 1.55. I think when we have this conversation, we have to kind of say by his standards. Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid's season has been blank by his standards. And I think that's, when you measure him against himself, this is, in a lot of ways, a below average season for McDavid in terms of the bar that he set the last 5 or 6 years. So his points per game at 1.45, 1.46, that would be the lowest since the 17-18 season for him. 46 games played. If you were to sort of average it out through a full 82-game season, that's around 120 points. His points per 60 is down at 4.0. That's down from 4.9 last season, 5 the year before. So that's down kind of in the lowest since the 18-19 season. Full season pace of 37 goals. He had 32 last year, guys. But since his 64-goal season a couple years ago, his goals per 60 is down to 1.2. It was 2.1 that season. So he's sort of shown the level that he can score goals at, and it's been a pretty dramatic drop-off on the goal-scoring front. Struds, you're bang on the hits. 29 hits in 46 games. That's 0.63 per game. Last season, he was 1.55. He's hitting 60% less than he did last season, and even more than what he's done over the last 3 years in the playoffs. So if he is conserving energy by being a little bit less physical night by night, that dramatically shows up in his stats, guys. So look, his shots per 60 is down as well, 8.7 from 9.7 and 11.5 the year before. So a lot of these metrics are down, and he's still up near the top of the league and still, the best player in the world, not having the best season this year. But everything is a little bit of a step down, Strud. So I'm not sure. What among those statistics do you think would also take a step back if your strategy is correct and if he is conserving energy? Does it make sense that all those things would be nudged back a bit?
Well, that's a good question. I think that when I sit back and look at it, when he's physical, he's more emotionally engaged in the games. And I'm not suggesting he's on all the time, but go back and look at the playoffs. He brought it every night. And you make that choice. So, Brownie, I'll disagree with you. I think that he's not hitting as much because he's trying to save it. He doesn't want to get that wear and tear in his body.
No, I agree with that part. I agree with that part.
Klingberg.
I don't. It's only the hitting I think he's trying to save himself on. I think the rest of his game, I don't think he's conserving energy. I think just in the hitting part, I agree. He's not hitting as much.
But that's
I think
a big
that
part
is
of it.
Well,
But if you're not hitting, if you're not hitting, you don't want to get, not that he's scared of getting hurt, but you're trying to manage the wear and tear in your body. Right. So it's just a little bit different. So I don't know. I think my statement stands. I truly believe that we've seen him turn it on, and when he's turned it on, he's made a statement, and then he's not turning it on. And I don't blame the guy because he knows what it looks like and feels like when he gets to game 83. And I expect him to turn it back up to those numbers.
I think one other number I don't think you're taking into consideration. He's always a better second half player than he is a first half player. So all these stats I think are a little skewed because by the end of the year he's better. So he's always a better second half player. So I mean, I wouldn't count out him winning the scoring title again. He's Connor McDavid. We're always judging him about himself, against himself, and against the rest of the league. He's right where he always is, right near the top. Against himself, he's probably, you're right, Schauger, a little bit down compared to what we usually expect from him.
Yeah. And let's not, get this wrong. By piling on Connor McDavid. We're talking about a percentile that isn't there that normally, in a lot of years is for him. He's still, by NHL standards, having an excellent season. But by his standards, the other thing that's a little down too is his face-off percentage, 47.7. It's the lowest since 1819. Although he was 43% in the playoffs this last year, so it had dipped a little bit in the playoffs as well. But just little details, tiny little things here and there. But I do think, Struds, that McDavid is the type of player, the margins are so fine, so if he's looking for areas of improvements, wanting to get himself across the finish line and his team with a Stanley Cup, I think it's totally feasible that he could analyze the entire year, take a good hard look at what happened last year and how he felt in the playoffs and come to the conclusion that I got to figure out how to maybe have a little bit more in the tank. I think about that last, game 7, even at the tail end of it. I mean, they were gassed. They were just gassed. And on a lot of nights fighting late in games, they seemed gassed, and that has to catch up with you. So really scrapping for those margins, that extra % or 2 here and there, and how you average that out over the course of a season. I think he thinks it on that level. And we could be seeing some of that as well. A couple of Bobo Fett agrees, says that's a conscious strategy. As we see McDavid always tweaking game elements each year. And I would agree with that. We've seen him come back with different things that he's focused on each season. Now, the one year he decided to focus on goal scoring, we saw what that looks like. McDavid and Dry have said personal success doesn't matter. This is eyes on the big prize. So just something to keep an eye on, and it'll be interesting here. And the Four Nations, what kind of a performance do you expect from him at the Four Nations, Brownie? Do you think he'll go there and pedal to the metal it?
Yeah, 100% he will. It's the best. Well, it's not the best in the world because not all the best teams are there, but he's on the big stage. He will want to be the best player in that tournament. And there's a lot of good players in that tournament. But yeah, this is what they've been waiting for. All these superstars want to play in these events. I expect Connor McDavid at his very best at the Four Nations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's going to be in there and front and center. He wants to continue to build this legacy, right? Of playing with the best players and being the best in that moment. And quite honestly, guys, that could be the start kind of this push into game 83 for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the final word, because I'm Ryan Rishaug, says Gord Parch. No, Gord. I let the guys have the final word on this topic. Okay. Evan Bouchard, guys, let's get into this real quick. Spec dug in, as he does now and then in his article. Main assertion being it's time for him to be an excellent player all the time. That's the main assertion, really. And I think Evan Bouchard has shown the world the player that he can be. He showed it in the playoffs last season. He showed it through the back half of last season as well. And he's been a shadow of himself for the bulk of this season. So I think overall, big picture, I tend to agree with the notion that Evan Bouchard, being night in, night out, closer to the high level that he can get to is a fair expectation, Struds. And I'll give you sort of first word on this one. But I agree. Like he should be thought of among the best defensemen in the league because he's shown people he can be. And I absolutely think that while a lot of the numbers are good and the analytics are good and we can dig into some of that, we know what he's capable of, and he hasn't been at the high end enough this year, Struds.
Good read by Spec. I really like that one. I like the comments from Paul Coffey, right? He's just saying that, when he is moving his feet, he's at his best. We've said it here, like when he gets the puck on the blue line, I think it was Brownie, he's just teeing it up and shooting, right? Like he's on the first hole. You've got to be moving sideways or moving before the puck comes to you to get that shot off. And it's the same with his passing. I used the word flat the other day. He's coming out from behind the net and not moving. You got to be zipping that thing, moving your feet. So those are real tangible things that Paul Coffey has talked to him about and I'll put out in the world, like get your feet moving. And it's the same with Leon. It's the same with everybody. If you're standing still as a hockey player, generally you're going to have a really tough time unless you are, I don't know who. You have to be the most, maybe Mikko Rantanen, right? Even Leon, if he's not moving his feet, it's not the same. So I thought the article had some really good insight from Paul Coffey. And I do think it's right. It's like, it's time now, buddy. We need you all the time to be that player. And you should expect that from himself more than anything, Brownie.
I agree. I think if you want to do fill in the blank with Bouchard, I think the word would be underwhelming his season this year. I just read he hasn't had a power play goal this year. I mean, he's got the most dangerous shot in the National Hockey League on the back end. He doesn't have a power play goal. And he's had ample opportunities because they're setting him up for that. If you watch as a fan, watch a Quinn Hughes, watch a Werenski, watch a Makar, watch those players in the blue line, how they patrol the blue line. Players nowadays are so good at blocking shots, getting in shooting lanes. There's no secret that Bouchard has a bomb. Players are getting in that lane. They want to take away that threat. Makar's Hughes and Werenski's, they move side to side, east to west to change the angle. Because if you're coming out, you don't know where the net is behind you. So when the defenseman changes the angle, you're guessing as to where the shooting lane is. And those players are good. And they get wrist shots through all the time where Bouchard, as Strud said, his feet are still. And it's much easier if the guy that I'm defending is got his feet, so he's not moving. Pretty easy for me to find my shooting lane, and I stay on it. The one thing that he got out of his game last year in the second half in playoffs was the big mistake. And it's back in, and it's been in big this year. He looks like a player at times that's lost confidence. I believe, and I said at the beginning of the year, I believe that the Team Canada selection and a new contract were on his mind. I believe he got off to a slow start. And in this league, if you struggle a bit or you lose your confidence an ounce, it's hard to get it back. And it just doesn't look like he's played with a whole bunch of confidence this year. And when you're an offensive player, you have to have swagger. And if you don't, you're underwhelming. And I think that's what Bouchard's been through the first 50 games.
So anytime Evan Bouchard takes criticism in the market, there is this voracious piece of the fan base that will come at you. I've experienced it as a media guy. I'm sure Spec was eating it today. It's very common and it's very intense. And listen, like, understandable. You're fans, and a lot of the times the argument ends up being based in analytics, and that's very much the case here with analytics. So Vane Moretsky, and we appreciate the comment here, Vane says, I don't get it. Bouchard's analytics are near the top of the league. He gets skewered. Skinner analytics are down at the bottom. So quite often the analytics paint a bit of a different picture. And if you value analytics as a higher priority, the argument is there, right? So 64 goals for at even strength, 43 goals against. That's a great differential. 61% of the shot share at even strength when he's on the ice. That's a great number as well. Highest Corsi for percentage of his career at 61.35. Highest goals for percentage of his career at in and around 60. So the numbers, and this is pointed out in the article too, the analytics, are not damning on Evan Bouchard. But, I think the three of us on this show would probably place what we witness night after night when you balance what we've seen him capable of quality-wise before with what expectations are with who we know he can be and potentially will get paid as. And I just think, Brown, and then you have Paul Coffey's comments that just in a lot of ways, bring a lot of validity to the idea that despite the numbers, there's something that's missing from his play. And I would say to those fans that get so upset and so defensive, relax, it's going to be okay. He's a good defenseman, and he's shown he can be a great defenseman. And I think it's okay to feel that pressure a little bit, Brownie. I think it's okay for Evan Bouchard to have the sense that, hey, I'm not where I need to be. I know where I can be. People believe in me, and to feel that responsibility. That's part of being a great defenseman, is understanding the expectations and meeting them.
Yeah, and he hasn't. And I will say this about the analytics. He does have the advantage of playing with the best player in the world every shift. I mean, Connor McDavid, when you're talking about all of the analytics about the Corsis, the shot share and everything, well, yeah, you got Connor McDavid on your line. You're out with him all the time. So, yeah, it's going to be skewered a little bit because you're playing with the best every shift. If you just went by analytics, he would have been a shoo-in, obviously, for the Team Canada. And he's not. And he's not going to be the guy that's going to be taking the injured player, Pietrangelo. There's parts of his game that have not been where it needs to be. And again, I said this, we've said it a number of times this year. When you want to become an elite and a star in this league, you do it because you have a bar. This is what he's capable of doing. To be the star, you got to hit that bar time and time again. Can't be a once in a while time. Can't be an occasional time, because then you're just a good player. But when you're hitting that bar consistently, like Connor does, like Leon does, like Kucherov, like Hughes, like Makar, those guys are superstars because they've set the bar, and just about every night they hit it. Evan Bouchard showed last year what his bar is, what he's capable of. And he has not been close to that this year. He's had glimpses, but he has not been close to he was a beast offensively and defensively in the playoffs. If you took Connor McDavid out of the equation last year, Evan Bouchard had a Conn Smythe Trophy winning numbers. That's how good of a playoff he had. So that's the bar that everyone expects from him, and he expects from himself. The coaching staff expects from him, and his teammates do. He hasn't been close to that. And if we heard Evan Bouchard talk about it, that, yeah, I'm there, then we would be upset because, whoa, no, you're not. He's accepted he hasn't been good enough. And that's a good thing because he knows he needs to improve, which means he will be better. And when he's better, the Edmonton Oilers are going to be better too.
Yeah. Strud, you want a word on this? You want to conserve it?
Yeah, just quickly. I look at the analytics and I like the eye test as well. So I know what the numbers suggest, but I also see areas of his game that can be tidied up. And we're not talking about 10 minutes out of the 25 he plays. We're talking about specific moments in time that he needs to just tighten up. And I think that's where you have to, I get it. You got to look at both.
Yeah, and I'll go back to what I said after last game. He was great. Second period, third period, helped the team work its way back into it. Evan Bouchard should be a player you can depend on. When Matthias Ekholm isn't available and it's time for everybody to buckle down, you got to be able to depend on that player to bring his best game. And he didn't in the early going, and it hurt them. He wasn't the only one, but he's the only one we think of in that way, to that degree. So this brings us to our YouTube DeBoer's poll, our YouTube poll, brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Are you fired up yet for the upcoming golf season? I am. New 2025 equipment from TaylorMade, Ping, and Callaway are arriving at DeBoer's. Get ahead of the fitting rush and schedule your appointment today, located at 5311 99th Street in Edmonton. Zuby, hop in, buddy.
What's up?
Not much, man. Oh, by the way, before you do the poll, Brownie, I do want to say for the analytics community, there have been a few people that have pointed out that if you look at Bouchard's numbers without McDavid on the ice, they're really, really strong this year as well. So there isn't the major drop-off that you might think. But I think your point is still a fair one. When you play that much with McDavid, it's definitely going to help some of those numbers. But just to be fair to the analytics crowd, I'm throwing that stat back in there. Go ahead, Zuby.
All right. On Evan Bouchard, today's DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll is, how do you feel about Evan Bouchard's overall game this year? So pretty subjective here, but the options are, first option, he's been good. Second option, he'll be fine. Third option, somewhat concerned. Fourth option, quite concerned about his season so far.
All right.
Anyone want to give an opinion where you weigh in on first impression there, Struddy?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the he'll be fine. I think that this timing of this break is perfect. Go away, clear the mechanism. I'm sure Paul Caulfield will talk to him as he drives him to the airport, and then he comes back, and I think we'll see an uptick from him and in those areas specifically.
I'm going to go with 2.5. I'm going to go with number 2.5. Somewhere in between, he'll be fine and a little concerned, because we are 50-some games into the season. And you said it, there was a game without Ekholm. I mean, it's funny that there's a fan base that will defend Evan Bouchard till the end, and there's a fan base that want him out of town as fast as possible. He is one of those polar guys. Like there's no in between. And to me, I do have a slight concern. It just the mistakes that he's making now are the ones that he made 2 years ago that shouldn't be in his game right now. Not 50 games into a season. So I'm somewhere in between. He will be fine and a little concerned.
All right, good stuff.
Can I just quickly, if his offense was, if the offense was there on par with last year, are we even talking about him? Are we talking about the defensive lapses?
I think we are, Zuby.
Yep. Yeah,
we are. Yeah, if his offensive numbers were there, but if a few more had gone in for him and the play was exactly the same, I still think this podcast would be, saying these same things about where his overall game is at. We'd probably be saying, look, he's bringing the numbers, so that helps. Yeah. But this year, the play has fallen off and the offense has fallen off at the same time, which I think puts an exclamation point on the whole thing. Okay, big, long, 37-minute breakdown today. Lots of great Oiler talk in there. Next segment, it's time for a little bit of fun. Northern Farm Girl, one of our favorites, was kind enough to do some astrology readings for the four of us. Oh, yes. Nothing but the hard-hitting hockey stuff here on Got Your Back. So we will hear from Northern Farm Girl herself. She does not speak in emojis. She speaks in real words, and she's got some great ones. So let's get a little goofy and have some fun. Next segment, lots of quality podcasts still ahead. Stay with us here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Under them, Zuby, or you think they'll be fine?
They'll be fine.
Plenty of comments on Struddy's voice coming in on the stream, but he is pushing through. And I would say, as of right now, Jason Strudwick is a leading contender for the Relentless Player of the Night. Time now for takeaways, brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. There's no better investment for an acreage owner than a John Deere compact utility tractor. Transform your property, start with a tractor, and then tackle all the jobs around with easy-to-use attachments like a tiller, mower, blade, snowblower, and more. Visit Horizon Ag and Turf at their 13 Alberta locations. They are your local John Deere dealer. Got to give a little love to Zuby here, guys. Production time. Time for Zuby. Intro the segment. What are we doing here, buddy? You got an animation? You got a name? What do we got?
Oh,
Does it have
gosh.
music?
Yeah, we do have music. We'll start with the music.
For it too?
Here it is. We got a little graphic just thrown together. Here we go.
So if you're listening in podcast form, head to YouTube to check out Zuby's hard work. Time now for Northern Farm Girls Got Your Back Astrological Readings 2025. Look at the emojis too. That's awesome. You did that all by yourself, Zuby. I like that. Okay, Northern Farm Girl, kind enough. I feel like she's been on basically every single show. She missed a couple this year. We got a little worried about her. But she's doing just fine, and she dug deep into each of us. So Zuby, which should we go first? Save Struddy for the end? We'll maybe go Brownie first?
Yeah, let's go Brownie first. That's a good place to start.
All right. Northern Farm Girl on Brownie.
Brownie, you are an Aries, and Aries is a ram. You are a fire sign. You're very strong-minded, playful, very assertive. You know what you want, and you go get it. Charismatic, absolutely. You love to take the lead, and you love to take challenges on. You have a very playful, competitive side. You have a very good intuition, and your energy is like a 20-year-old. You're ageless. You do have a little bit of a mischievous streak. He's not swayed easily by others, and for 2025, he's going to continue on being healthy, happy, doing some traveling, and maybe even coming up with his own brand, and that will be interesting for Brownie.
Whoa!
Wow.
Wow.
I'm pretty excited. I sound way better in her world than I do in my own. I kind of like that.
She nailed it. She nailed it. Honestly, there's so many things that are right. I can't believe it. Like, really, really well done.
Really good.
Yeah, she nailed it.
I love it.
I'm gonna have her
really
be my
well
brand
done.
maker though too. She's gonna do my brand for me.
Brownies. Hey,
Yeah.
you plan to make some special brownies for
Special
people, Brownie?
Oh, I like special brownies.
Special brownies?
Brownie, I can send you
Lance.
the audio file, Brownie, if you just want to have that as
Yes, please do.
as your daily affirmation
Your
first thing in the
ringtone.
morning.
Very
Your
much.
ringtone. Lance
you,
Kane
Northern
says,
Farm
what
Girl.
is
That was
happening
awesome.
in this? What is happening in this podcast? Haha. Matt Blom says she sounds exactly like I thought. Zuby, you're up next, buddy. What does Northern Farm Girl have to say about the man himself?
Okay, before we get to that too, somebody else said that this looks like Miss Cleo. I thought that was a good reference too with the background going on here. All right, here's the one about me.
This is for you, Zuby. You're born October 16th. You are a Libra. The Libra sign is the scale. Your lucky number is 8. You are charming, social, and diplomatic. You have a natural ability for resolving conflicts, and you're a very deep thinker. And for 2025, it's going to be all about outdoors. You definitely might put your foot in the water, maybe somewhere you've never been on a holiday with family, friends. You're very social, and this is to look forward to for 2025, improving your game and maybe getting a lucky stick for your hockey game. That's you, Zuby.
Oh,
I hope
Sounds
maybe that
pretty
means
bad.
I'm gonna carve one out of a tree like Roy Hobbs, right, Struddy? Lightning
Yes.
strikes the tree. I carve my new hockey stick out of it, and my team wins the championship. That would be.
Lance Kane says, are we still talking about Bouchard? No, Lance, we've moved on from that. We're into a new segment. Diplomatic and great at resolving conflicts,
Yeah.
Struds. What do you make of that?
I could see that. He is very diplomatic, right? I mean, I think she nailed it. Again, she's really onto it. The only comment, maybe a lighter glove hand. Maybe there would have been something in there for the 2025, but you nailed it.
hey, well, I
Northern
mean,
Farm
she's
Girl.
not a magician. She's just predicting, right?
She's
Maybe
not a
I just need
doctor.
to buy a lighter glove, and then I can stop blaming it on that.
Love it. JL says Zuby creates conflict, like Zuby Wed game. Yeah, he does create a little bit of conflict
Yeah,
there. Matt Blom,
right.
Struddy's voice magically improved 80% in the last 5 minutes. It has gotten a little better.
Yes.
He had a little tea during the commercial break there. All right, let's see what Northern Farm Girl has to say about the star of this show.
Ryan,
Oh, ready? Here we go.
Ryan, this is for you, May 29th. You are a Gemini. A Gemini is a twin, and you're an air sign. Your favorite number or lucky number is number 5 or 6. You are very sharp-minded. You have the gift for the gab. That explains got your back. You are very quick-witted, charming, and everybody, pause, funny. That's right. You're exceptionally passionate about whatever you put your mind to, career-driven. Sometimes that can get in the way of personal life, but you try to make it work and balance it out. You probably for 2025 might be looking into starting a new project or changing your path a little bit for your career. And you should try something new, something you've never done before. And that is you, because that is the twin in you. And that's for you, Ryan.
Wow. Sounds like you're leaving Struds and I and starting something different.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy smokes. You know, I don't know if you guys noticed it, there was like a pause and it sounded like someone dubbed funny in there. So like she said, okay,
there was no
add whatever
dub.
you want in here. I'm going to pause.
That
It's a
was
pregnant
her.
pause. You are
Funny.
And then
No, that was her. That was her Northern Farm Girl science, and she said I'm funny, and it's proved by the stars.
The stars,
so you were
yeah.
all wrong. The stars have proven it correct, Struds.
Yeah, some credibility loss for sure. I mean, that's a comment that you can't walk back. And then as far as trying something new, I hope that vegetables and fruit are in your 2025, right? Try them out. A little color, add a little color instead of having the nuts. What do you have every night? Nuts and cheese or something, or cheese.
All right, let's see what Northern Farm Girl had to say about the big fella.
This is for Steve. Steve.
Oh, here, this one.
This is for you,
That'll
Struddy.
be
You
next
are
show.
born July 17th. You are a Cancer. That is a crab sign. Your lucky numbers, you're going to love this, number 7 and 11. And you know what that means? Slurpees all summer. The whole thing about Struddy is he's capable, direct, he's self-sufficient. He is an energy in the room, absolutely intuitive, very funny. For 2025 is going to be full of energy. He's going to maybe check out something new, something exciting, like stand-up comedy. He may or may not be buying something new that's very well needed, and that could go from anywhere from a car to a pillow or anything like that. Relationship, he might be more romantic this year. He's got a lot of travel and adventure opportunities, lots of different things coming for 2025, and stay tuned.
Well, Shona's excited. There's
Yeah,
going to be more
she's-
romance.
Jeez.
Being
Just
more
got that tap.
romantic. That would be
But
the
everybody in
first
a
sign
comedy-
of romance. Yeah.
And that the
everyone in a
pillows are
comedy
going to.
club is going to be, everyone's going to be sad in a comedy club because we've seen them in stand up. It was, it was not good.
Hey, mom's tired because the flu here at the comedy night.
I can't get no respect. I get no respect, you know.
Yeah, get no respect.
What do you think, Struds? You've already made a big purchase in 20. Didn't you buy a new vehicle or something? Like, didn't she nail
In
that?
2024, I did. Yeah, I have been in the market for new pillows. She's not wrong.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing with my wife that kind of went off the rails with the pillows. No, I think she was pretty accurate. You know, I maybe try something new. Last year was knitting and such.
I think the biggest one though that she nailed with you, Struds, was energy. If you walk into a room and Struds is there, he is the battery of that room. He is the energy of
Yeah.
that room.
Yeah.
So she nailed that
It's
one.
not always good.
Yeah,
Not always a good
it's the gravitational force that you feel from the sheer mass of his head. You feel drawn to him. That's his head pulling you into its
No.
gravitational
She's right. You are
sphere.
funny. You are funny. That was good.
No. I used that
all
line
right,
on him like 2 weeks ago. You're stealing my lines. Do you and Randine write them down at night? And then like, hey, let's use this one on Struddy later.
I didn't. That was fresh. That was not said recently. That was right off the top of my normal-sized head. I did not steal that. I don't steal comedy material. Those of us that do funny understand there's a bit of an unspoken
boy, here
thing.
we
You
go.
don't steal material from other really funny people, Struds. Not like
we
you
go.
tried to use the same joke twice in the same 20 minutes last was it 2 podcasts ago, Brownie?
It
Struds did
was.
that?
It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for him.
Brutal.
Boys, a home run in the first inning is still a home run in the 5th inning.
You know what? We have some amazing personalities here on this show, and I'm not talking about any of us. We have some great contributors on the live stream that are here every show. We have some great contributors in our comment section on YouTube, and Northern Farm Girl has been one of them right from the start. So thank you, Northern Farm Girl. What an absolute treat that was. Much appreciated. Maybe we'll do it again for 2026. Hey, fellas,
So good.
Northern Farm
Awesome.
That
Girl.
was fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Now I know what her voice sounds like. I like that. Now I
Yeah,
can hear
she's got a
her.
really good voice.
She does.
Really good
Yeah.
broadcast voice. Now, she also did one for Steve Taylor, and we're going to wait until Steve's at the helm of a podcast, and then we will drop that one in and analyze Northern Farm Girl's call on Steve Taylor. All right, before we wrap this segment, let's get to the You Can Use Services Relentless Player of the Night, their annual Comedy Nights fundraiser. It's almost here, coming up in March. 2 great ways you can help support youth in our community. Purchase tickets or a table for one of these unforgettable comedy nights, or donate items or experiences to be featured in the silent auction. Your support makes all the difference. To donate or grab your tickets, visit youcan.ca. I think I'm going to take this one, Brownie, unless you want to go in a different direction. But I think as annoying as he is at times, I think we got to give it to the big guy here, because he clearly is in a fight. He's not complaining. He's playing hurt. I think I got to give it to the big guy, Struddy.
I got to be honest. I wouldn't go that way at all. I got Northern Farm Girl. Oh, my God. What she just did, she changed the entire complexion of that show. She was fantastic. I heard Struddy all day like this. Wah, 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 wah. He's just like,
nothing
what is he
special.
really giving us? He's not even relentless tonight. He's just like, blah. Northern Farm Girl was fantastic. She's my relentless player.
I'm down with that too. Northern Farm Girl for sure. And guys, honestly, I play her almost every night. What's the difference?
True enough. All right, that was our Relentless Player, brought to you by You Can Use Services. When we come back, Struddy's World, if we can get through it. Brownie points as well, and we might keep Brownie for taking a lap, because there was a monster suspension in the NHL tonight, and we're going to get to that in our taking a lap segment, and I definitely want Rob Brown's perspective on that. So lots still ahead on the show. Stay with us. This has Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
Don't need to.
Yep, for sure.
Oh, wait, I got something else for you. It's this.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. They've got locations in Calgary and Edmonton. If you're a contracting business or business contractor, let DLR help you add vinyl fence to your product line. Reliable, unmatched service, high-quality North American-made products. Visit DLRvinylproducts.ca. That's my brothers, Rick and Rob, and we're heading to Banff for a couple of days for a little DLR Vinyl Products / Got Your Back Summit. Going to talk lots about fences, lots about business, and it's going to be a great couple of days. But given the temperature, guys, not going to be skiing. Lots of Catan played, and there's nothing wrong with that, Struds. Nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do your brothers played as well when they're in the middle of the mountains?
Yes. Yes. We will be happy to sit in, look out the window at the mountains in minus 40-degree weather, and play Catan and Risk and have a jolly old time talking about vinyl fence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jeez, can Struds and I get in on that trip? That
Yeah,
sounds fun.
Yeah. Jeez. What time do you turn in at? 8:30? We got a big game tomorrow, guys. Catan starting at 9 a.m. Let's hit the sheets.
Say what you have to say. Go.
Yeah. Okay, so I've noticed this recently. I want to know if other people have the same issue. I watch TV, maybe after the pod, I'll throw something on, watch a movie. I'm finding, though, it's really hard to understand what people are saying. And so what I do is I turn it up quite loud, but then like there's a gunfight or a race car or something like that, and it gets really loud. Then my wife gives me the old Uncle Leo, hammering on the thing. It's too loud. I'm trying to sleep. So then I turn it back down, and then I can't understand what they're saying again. So I turn it up, and then old Uncle Leo shows up again, and she maybe walks around like, I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, I can't hear it. I can't hear what they're saying. So now I've resorted to putting on the subtitles, and it's just, to me, it's just why bother? I may as well read a book. So is anyone else experiencing this moment? I don't think I'm going deaf. I've had my ears tested recently. Is anyone else feeling that happening to them?
Yes. It's been like about last 7-8 years. My wife and I have subtitles on everything all day long. Every show we watch has subtitles. And I went and had my hearing test, and they said, there's nothing wrong with your hearing, but I think it's the processing. I'm not sure the brain works as much anymore, but I cannot watch a show at all without subtitles. I can't hear a thing they're saying, no matter how loud I turn it up. Subtitles all the time for me.
We have somebody in the stream called The Funny Ryan. So appreciate them. They're going to be regulars on the show. The Funny Ryan says Bluetooth it to headphones. That's not a bad solution, Struds. Not sure if you have a smart TV or not, but you could go headphones while you're watching TV. That would solve it.
The
for you.
TV might be smart,
Consideration there.
Shogger. Yeah. It's Struds that's going to have the problem.
Oh, what's next here? What's next? Peen sitting down? I mean, where do I draw the line? I mean, at some point, I just want to watch my show with the music just blaring at me, but even understand the verbs, what they're trying to say, language.
Vanya Gretzky or Vane Moretsky says, ask Struddy, says tell Struddy that is due to your default audio on your TV having 5.1 on. Change the audio settings on your TV. Netflix and apps also have it on. So it might be a setting. I refuse to believe that there is not technology in our TVs that will level out the sound to stop the massive undulations in the sound, Struds. I think this is a Struddy technology issue.
It probably is. So I got sound bars. all over the place.
I like this one. I like that this person said, yes, please get this one, Shogger. Can you see that, Shogger?
Get a hearing aid sponsor.
Starting over at 61 says, get a hearing aid sponsor. We're all going to need them.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Sure.
I'm not above a hearing aid. I just don't think at this point this is the issue, because I can hear it when it's normal. Then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. I got old Uncle Leo just hammering on me from upstairs. It's a hard one.
Struddy, here's one thing I'll say. If you're watching stuff, I know Netflix does this. I'm not sure if all the streaming does this, but because the thing I don't like about having captions on is then you're reading them, and you're not whether you need them or not, and you're not watching the show. On Netflix, if you miss something, if you just go back, skip back 10 seconds, 20 seconds or whatever, captioning comes on for a short as that scene replays, and then it goes off on its own. Or at least it does on mine. Maybe that's a setting as well. Yeah. So if I miss something, I just hit that back, because I have that too. It's brutal. Even down here in the theater where I'm supposed to have wonderful sound, I miss a fair bit of dialogue. So that would be my one, the only thing I have to offer here.
Yeah. All right. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Okay. Roll the happy music, too, because it's time to get to Brownie and Brownie Points, which is brought to you, as always, by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Using Alberta Prime Beef, their jerky is available in 13 tantalizing flavors, including that awesome sweet and spicy. And remember, for the month of February, buy 2 pounds of jerky for $70 and get a free bonus quarter-pound mystery flavor pack. That sounds good. You can try a bunch of different stuff with that bonus quarter-pound mystery flavor pack. And free shipping as always, Alberta-wide. Hop on to albertajerky.com to order yours. Enter the code GOTYOURBACK. That will get you an additional 10% off. Brownie?
I'm going to start with 50 brownie points to Landon Dumont, young man from the Everett Silvertips in the WHL, scored his 50th point the other day in his rookie season. He is the first rookie D-man in 35 years with a 50-point season. He's a 15-year-old playing under the exceptional status rule. The last rookie defenseman to have 50 points plus in a season, former teammate of Jason Strudwick and cousin of Jason Strudwick, young man named Scott Niedermayer had 69 his rookie season. This Landon Dumont is a good hockey player. I'm going to send some get well love and 55 brownie points out to Columbus Blue Jacket forward Kirill Marchenko. The Russian star is having a breakout year this year. He's got 21 goals, 55 points, and he's leading the league at plus 31. He suffered a broken jaw the other night, sitting on the bench, got struck with a puck. He's out for long term, it says. It's too bad because Kirill and the Blue Jackets are having a real feel-good story this season. They are going to miss their superstar in the making. I got 400 brownie points to New York Ranger goaltender Jonathan Quick, who became the first U.S.-born goalie to have 400 wins in the National Hockey League. The Stanley Cup champion and future Hall of Famer achieved it with a win against the Edmonton Oilers nemesis, the Vegas Golden Knights. Good for Jonathan Quick. I've got minus 31 brownie points to the Edmonton weather today because it was minus 31 or minus 42 with the wind chill when I walked my dogs this morning. Most mornings I wake up happy that our family retired back here in St. Albert. Today was not one of those mornings. Today I wish we retired somewhere else. I've got 78 brownie points to my favorite new streaming show, Justified. I know this show came out in 2010 and ran only 6 seasons, but I'm late to the party for most shows and it was new to me. I watched this series finale today. It was its 78th episode, and I'm going to miss Deputy Marshal Raylan Giffins, Chief Art, Boyd Crowder, and the whole game. Justified. Best show that I've watched in a long time. And I had one more, but we'll talk about that in a few seconds. It was minus 10 brownie points to a jerk in the National Hockey League, but we're going to talk about that suspension in a little while.
Yeah.
So this was brownie points.
So Justified, hey? What's
Yeah, it is
the
so good.
because I'm looking for a new show to put on while I'm on the elliptical. So
awesome.
I'm thinking this could be potential.
It is. He's a marshal, the U.S. Marshal in a little town, and he's going after his arch nemesis Boyd Crowder, who's the drug guy in town. It's old school. It's really good. I told my buddy about it last week. He's already watched 2.5 seasons of it in the last 10 days.
How long?
So it's a good show. Justified. It won a bunch of awards.
Episodes? How long?
48 minutes, 45 minutes. So probably it's going to take you 3 elliptical rides to get through one.
Hope there's some excitement in that show because that'll raise his heartbeat more than the elliptical.
He did not disappoint, Struts. Did not disappoint. Zing, says Gordy Parch. Yes. All right, that was Brownie Points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Okay, let's get to that story. 10-game suspension for Ryan Hartman. Kaboom. George Peros drops the hammer. That will be in our Take It a Lap segment brought to you by Acon. So they're looking for workers, right? If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction pro in Western Canada, they want to hear from you. Looking for skilled tradespeople, construction professionals to join their team and start building what matters today. Join them by sending your resume to trades@acon.com. Once again, that email address is trades@acon.com. Always looking for quality people. Okay, Ryan Hartman. Struds, you can maybe remind people of what he did and describe it the best you can. Gets clobbered by George Peros and company today.
Well, I mean, you always need to win those faceoffs with 1 second left in the second period. They're so important, right? So he lines up against Stützle of Ottawa, and they kind of get tangled up, and then he pile drives Stützle down into the ice. I called it a DDT. I might have been wrong. I think it might have been a pile driver. So today, 10 games, suspension. And I love this, and this is what the explanation video says. Hardman contends that he's attempting to use his hand to regain his balance using Stützle for support and that their fall to the ice is accidental. I do agree he was using his head, but not to brace himself. It was coming down hard, slam it down right on the ice. So he gets 10 games. There's 2 appeal processes. Step 1 would be through Gary Bettman. The second one would be independent. He might, appeal it just to try to save some cash. But guys, I mean, it just is the easiest suspension of the year. 10, lock it, see you later.
Well, it was just dumb. And I always believe err on the side of more games. You know what? If you want players to stop doing stupid things, find them more, give them more games. That's the only way you're going to stop it. He drove his face into the ice. And anyone that's ever taken a face off, you got your hands down low and you're pulling the stick back. There is zero chance for you to protect yourself. Someone's pushing on the back of your head or your shoulders down. You're not protecting yourself. It's face first. They're lucky Stützle didn't break a jaw or break his chin or break a cheek, anything like that. I hate when it's done to, like, Stützle probably has 5 hits the whole season. He's a skilled player that doesn't play stupid. Why? I mean, he was mad at him. Apparently Stützle hit him earlier in the game and he was getting revenge. Well, 10 games, good. You're gone. On a team that's fighting for home ice advantage in the playoffs, they just lost Hartman for 10 games. I'm glad they gave it to him. It was his 4th suspension. He's not new to this. And it was deliberate, and he went after the other team's best player. And I'm glad that the Ottawa Senators rubbed it in and ran the score up in that game. I think they beat them 6-0.
Zuby, you're a big wrestling fan. What's your sense on what that maneuver was or should be called or compared to?
I might have to watch it again, but my first impression was that it was more of a bulldog or somewhere between a bulldog and a DDT.
Right.
Yeah, and someone just made a good Oilers fan reaction, said it's what Seth Rollins' foot stomp would look like with his arm. That's true. Or even we might have to dig deep into Gordparch has a pedigree. Yeah, there's a little bit of pedigree in there, or even maybe a Billy Gunn famouser.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense, but we'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
I was taking a lap brought to you by Acon. That's an expensive one too. What is that, 100K or something like that, roughly? Like that's a a big chunk of the guy's paycheck, and rightfully so. You got to think he's at that stage now where it's just, the next one will be 20. Like the league's got, there's clearly you don't measure this against anything else. That's not the point. The point is the player needs to get the message, and the NHL is gonna send it here. So we'll see if Hartman can adjust his game a little bit. Good player when he stays kind of between the lines. He just doesn't stay between the lines very often. All right, that was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Acon. Brownie, we're going to spring you, buddy. Much appreciated. We'll chat. We'll sort it out tomorrow night. There'll be a post-game podcast, so we will chat with you then, my friend.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right. Feel better, pal. That was Rob Brown. All right, as we go to break, we tapped Ryan Reed for another episode of In the System tonight, brought to you by Long Shots Indoor Golf Sports Bar. Swing into Long Shots Golf, Sherwood Park's ultimate sports bar and golf destination. It's even better. They're launching their brand new menu featuring family-friendly options and a kids menu as well. Enjoy a great meal with your crew. Watch some NFL, some hockey, whatever you want. They got something for everybody. Come for the sports and stay for the fun. Ryan Reed going In the System.
The Bakersfield Condors took down the Toronto Marlies on Saturday 3-2 to secure 7 of their last 8 points heading into the All-Star break. Derek Ryan recorded a goal in that game and now has points in both Condors games he has played in. Ryan's goal was his first in the AHL since October of 2016 with Charlotte. Jacob Perreault, who the Condors traded for from the Canadiens earlier this season, recorded the lone shootout goal to give Condors the edge. Seth Griffith had a multi-point night and now has 8 points over his last 6 games. Matthew Savoy won the fastest skater event at the AHL All-Star Game with a 13.64 time. The key to doing so? Quote, "Don't fall," said Savoy. Sam O'Reilly is goalless in his last 5 and has 3 assists over that span, with the London Knights over in the OHL. Thomas Mazura has picked it up after transferring from St. Lawrence University to play professionally in Czechia and now has 4 goals and 7 points over his last 5 games. 2019 7th-round pick Maxim Danishkin has 2 goals and 3 points through his last 5 games in the KHL and has 16 points in 46 games this season. After being traded to the Peterborough Petes from the Ottawa 67s, undrafted prospect Brady Stonehouse has 5 points in 10 games, including 3 goals. My name is Ryan Reed, and that's what's happening in the system.
Thinking of that dream vacation? A quick winter escape? Well, flight delays are dreadful. Hospital visits, not fun. Alberta Blue Cross gives you coverage for emergency medical care, cancellations, and lost baggage. Flexibility, reliability, even lounge access or a hotel if the delay is too much. Plus 24/7 travel support ensures you're never left out in the cold. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
At HSE Core, we are dedicated to providing unparalleled safety compliance services to small and medium-sized businesses through our monthly health and safety program management, including managing contractor screening registries and core auditing services. Let HSE Core Services help you maintain a safe workplace for you and your valued employees. Visit us at hsecore.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. Do us a favor, throw us the thumbs up if you don't mind. Zuby, are we having an issue with thumbs down? I see you in the chat there. You're scrapping and clawing for us. We're getting thumbs down from people?
There's 1 or 2 on every episode. But it's funny the timing of when they come in. So I wanted to know if anyone wanted to own their thumbs down and tell me why they gave it to us. I'm not going to...
I saw that.
Bite anybody's head off. I'd just like to know, but I do suspect it's probably folks who have been banned from commenting previously.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I remember I was in a terrible mood one day, and I was perusing the YouTube comments, and somebody was just chewing into me. Which, Norm, whatever. It's par for the course. It happens every day. It just bothered me that day. And I just blitzed them back on the YouTube chat online. And I have a feeling maybe we're getting trolled by somebody that got a piece of my mind one day. So that's okay. Give us some more thumbs up. We can sustain the odd thumbs down to you. Not everybody can love you, hey? Had to learn that as I get older. Can't please everybody. Time now for taking a trip. Who might be taking a trip? Brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. If you're planning a trip, whether it's a dream vacation, a quick winter escape, or a trip to watch the Oilers play, don't forget travel insurance. Alberta Blue Cross has got your back with emergency medical, cancellations, lost baggage, and more. Flexibility and reliability. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel to learn more. Struds, you used to go off the odd time on Twitter. Someone would tweak you, and the old Struddy would dig into it. We don't see it much anymore, big guy.
No, not as much. And I don't know. It's why bother fighting? I don't know who it is. Whatever. Jimmy Beans at 27. I don't know. I just gave up. I think it doesn't matter. Like no one would ever say anything to my face. So I don't. I got out of that business. Every now and then I get into it, but not very much anymore.
Good.
Okay, so Utah Hockey Club or whatever they're going to be called. They're starting to drift down as we speak right now. We can start looking at that team, thinking, okay, what's available? So I'm going to start with one of their D-man, Oli Mata. He was brought in because of some of the injuries they had earlier in the year. And he's played well. He's performed well. Like there's only of D-men that have played kind of significant minutes. I'll call it over 200 minutes. He's one of 2 D-men that is above water 5-on-5 with their goal differential. The other one being former Oiler Michael Kesselring. So that's a bit of a kick in the nuts, but he's one of the 2 guys that's up there. He's playing well. He's at $3 million a year. We all know, if you don't know what he is, he's just kind of a big, steady guy, makes plays. I think he's got 10, 11 points this year. He's not going to be a massive contributor offensively. In some ways, I'd say similar to kind of what Cody Ceci brings you on the other side, right? Like he's a lefty, this guy's a righty. So the value's probably there at $1.5 million. You trade for him. We know how that works at the cap. So I believe that Utah, if they continue to drift as they are out to sea, out of the playoff picture, this is a player that will be moved because they do have other guys that are coming back. Marino's come back. There's still other guys that are expected to come back too. And I would have a hard time envisioning this being a part of their future for next year, Schauger.
Yeah. Traded for a 3rd-round pick earlier on this season. That was the price, I believe, that was given up for him.
Okay.
So he's averaging over 20 minutes a night. He's a left shot. Struds, if the Oilers are kind of in that market for a tweener, not necessarily a true top 4 guy, but a guy that can definitely be solid on a 3rd pairing and maybe push his way up a little bit if he has to. I feel like this player is kind of that caliber of player that would fall into that range. Would you agree with that?
I try not to tailor this segment towards just players the Oilers should be interested in.
Of course.
I would say if they're comfortable thinking that they being the coaches and managers, that Klingberg is a solution in the 2nd pairing, then this is exactly the type of player you want. Because I believe he could moonlight up, in the top 4 if required for injuries during the playoffs. Not necessarily ideal for him to be there. But now you've got some depth there. So this, and the cost wouldn't be huge. You talked about the 3rd, maybe it's a little more somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in and around there, but it's definitely not a 1st rounder. So yeah, I think that this is the type of player for sure that I think the Oilers would look at to fill that spot.
A couple of cups too. What do you think about adding Stanley Cups into the room with trades near trade deadline? How much is that worth, you think?
So for a depth guy, I think it's really important because they know what it feels like. They've been there. This isn't someone coming in being like, hey, let's get out there and figure this out. Whoa, geez, this is fast, or this is physical, or there's so much pressure, right? So I think that he knows what it's like. And I do think there's value in that really, well, anywhere, but in the depth position, Schauger, for sure, I would take it. So that's why I kind of like this guy as this solution. Again, assuming Klingberg is their guy.
100 thumbs up. Thank you. Keep them coming. We appreciate that. Let's overwhelm the naysayers here on Got Your Back. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Before we get into Ask Us Anything, and by the way, send all of your thoughts into the YouTube stream. Zuby's been gathering them through the show. If there's anything specific you want to throw at Struds and I, or Zuby, hockey-related, life-related, anything you want. That's why we call it Ask Us Anything. Fire it into the stream, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But Struds, we're going to take a look at the scoreboard and the standings, though, now, before we get there. And that is brought to you by Canadian Club. The all-new CC Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at 58%, their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date. It's a full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with that butterscotch finish. Not much action today, my man.
Really light night. Really. 5-2 in one game only. 5-2, the Senators beat the Preds. David Perron gets his first goal with Ottawa. So this is another pretty good night for the Sens, who continue to kind of just move along. They really outshot Nashville in this game, Schauger. The Sens are creeping up, and they're starting to play well. Steve Stales, the former GM, has got them going in the right direction. And as of right now, the Sens are 2 points behind the Leafs, with the Leafs having one game at hand. That is crazy. Wow. Like, imagine if the Flames were in that situation behind the Oilers. It would be pandemonium here in Edmonton. So imagine what they're feeling in Toronto right now. Leafs fans must be losing it. And man, do we love it.
And those wild card teams are, 5 points back. So the wild card race is approximately 5 points back of where the Leafs are in second place, and only a few points out of third place there as well. So, yeah, it could get interesting. If things go the wrong way for a couple of weeks, even, you get yourself into some real sticky situations. Interesting in the West here, and in particular in the Pacific. The Oilers... what do they have? 4 losses in their last 7 games or something like that. They're 6-3-1 though in their last 10 overall, and that is enough to continue to pace them at the top of at least the Pacific Struds. The high end that was going on all around the Oilers in their division is not there anymore.
Well, they couldn't keep that pace. They being all three of those teams, right? They were just on fire. So yeah, they've come back to reality a little bit, and so I believe the next 3 games are important for the Oilers. Really kind of set themselves up, having a part of or the lead in the Pacific Division. I think is important as they come out, because then we got the sprint. What is it going to be like? 28 games left, whatever it is, something like that.
Yeah,
it's going to 27 games, so that's going to be. I think that is important, Shaga, really important.
Blues, Blackhawks back to back, and then the Colorado Avalanche on Friday, heading in to the break for the Four Nations face-off. Okay, Zuby, hop in here, buddy. Let's get to our Ask Us Anything segment. We also got to wrap up our YouTube poll as well. Ask Us Anything brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. Founded in 1976, they're a full-line distributor providing quality wholesale electrical products for use in industrial, commercial, residential settings. Proudly owned and operated in Edmonton. Visit bjelectric.ca. Nice number for an off night on the stream tonight. We appreciate everybody's contributions. Zuby, what are the people saying, bud?
That's a good question. I've got lots of good questions to go to here, but I don't really know where to begin. Let's go with this one from Zinger. He says Nuge and Hyman haven't scored as much as last year. Also provides a reason as to why McDavid's numbers are down. What is this? Is that the chicken and the egg? Or is one, are they dependent upon each other, Struds?
Yeah, I mean, to start the year, obviously Hyman, he was getting chances, he just wasn't finishing them. And, then he gets injured, then he comes back and gets going. So, and Nuge as well. I think Nuge has been playing, trending in the right direction as the season goes on, offensively. So yeah, I think the more players are playing well around you, I think that helps, because now, as a skater, you're like, hey, I got to worry about this guy as well as this guy, rather than just focused on, 97.
Yep, keep it moving, Zuby. Not going to lie. Text buzzed in that I had to take during that question, so my humble apologies.
Okay, no worries. A couple people have mentioned this. Yammer said, is it possible McDavid might still have a little nagging injury as well? Lots of pucks rolling off his stick when he usually has control. Shogger, what do you see from 97?
Well, I mean, that maybe explains the decrease in the number of body checks. Like when something's bugging you or nagging you, you don't go out of your way to initiate contact. It's always possible. And that McDavid would play through it if it was there. So we will always allow for that possibility, I think, when it comes to any talk of McDavid and his game dipping here and there, because he's been known to play through stuff in his past.
Everyone's nicked up, right? Everyone. It's just to what degree. So
yeah, great point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess he probably has something nicked up, but that's life in the NHL.
Okay, I have to ask about this person's name too. Here we got Pord Charchewski, my buddy Gord Parchewski. This is obviously a play off of his name, but I want to know if Gord knows. Gord, you can say in the chat if you know who this is, who's like bastardizing your name here. He wants to know your guys' opinion on the recent string of slow starts. It's to him, it smacks of overcoaching because the effort seems to be there. It's been, they've been in a 2-0, 3-0 hole a bunch of times in the last little while here. Struds, have you ever been on a team where that you just couldn't get out of the gate? And can you put your finger on why that might happen and how you work out of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think is it been a little bit of bad luck? Other teams like the Leafs, let's be honest, they lost 3 in a row. They didn't want to lose their 4th game on Saturday night to the Oilers, right, on primetime hockey. So they came out flying. Nylander was all over the ice. So, yeah, I mean, they've had some good starts. I think that recently they've given up leads, but they've battled back into those games. I just think it's more a little bit of function of execution. Specifically, the last game, the 2 penalty kills could have been a little more detailed.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd put it on coaching. I mean, it's not like he's throwing a line out there, pulling them off, swapping them up. I don't view him as overhandling it early in games, so I don't think I would necessarily put that on the coach. I think good starts are a quality this team needs to overall improve on, but and there have been a few lately, but I do think they're better at it than they were earlier on this season. So it's something I keep an eye on, and I would say still on the list of things that needs to be more consistent.
EMG says, who is someone realistically on the market you think might be a good fit beside Leon in the top 6? So let's think not just the wish list, who you like, but who you also think is available and might fit cap wise. Who's your number one, Struddy, on that criteria?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, so it's funny you should bring it up. And I don't know if this is even doable. It depends on Evander Kane, but Ricard Raquel, his name has been paraded around Oilers for quite a while. Would that be a player that, he's scoring quite a bit this year, his bigger body? Would that be a player the Oilers would be interested in? And that was kind of one guy it feels like they're open for business. Depends. Would that be a guy that could maybe be moved out of there? Now, pretty decent cap hit at 5. Could you break that down a little bit? That might be a guy, Shoggy.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. Some experience. How's he moving these days, by the way? Like, well, I don't like the idea of slowing yourself down. That would be my caution on adding anybody that you expect to play more than 15 minutes a night. I just wouldn't want to see them slow themselves down up there because we see how fast the playoffs are. So, again, I can't say right in this moment how I feel about his foot speed and where he's at. If I recall, maybe it would have fallen off a little bit in the last couple of years. Scott Lawton out of Philadelphia. I mean, he's always a player that is talked about around here. More naturally plays in the middle, but you can play those guys on the wing easily enough. So I think a player like that probably fits good in with this group. So I would maybe just chuck that one out there.
Phyrogenaceous, if I'm saying that right, on the stream is saying Brock Besser. I never thought about that, but he's on an expiring contract that those two teams have dealt together this year once already. And that still seems like that would be a long shot, but that would be very interesting. If the Canucks, that would have to be, I'm sure, them falling well past the playoff cut line to deal with the price would be expensive.
Yeah, to deal with in the division. If that's the last piece and the Oilers win a Stanley Cup and you drop that guy in their laps, you better get a good return back for it. So not as close, I don't think, as the Flames, but Shoggy, I'm not sure I want to be the GM that pushes the final piece into place.
That'd be similar to the Flames giving them Anderson, right? That would be kind of similar, just handing them what they need. The other thing, too, is you really have to think that with Miller gone, Pettersson, we'll see which way it goes. I think they'll probably end up keeping him. But, I don't know that you want to see JT Miller and Brock Besser disappear out of your lineup in the same, in the same calendar year if you can help it. So I think the priority on Besser maybe changes a little bit given Besser moving on and the talent downgrade that they did in that trade. So I would say he's, probably more likely to stay, I would think, after the Miller trade. Not sure if our resident Canuck expert, Matt Blom, would agree or not.
He said we can have him, actually. He said you can.
Take him.
I'm going to get to that when you text me about Schauger. I'm going to kind of tie it into this.
Sure.
JL wondering, Four Nations will be interesting to see if it'll just be a glorified all-star game with no contact. I don't think it's going to be that necessarily. We've talked about this before, but Struddy, is there a chance there's kind of a gentleman's agreement? We're going to play hard, but it's going to be a no-hitter? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that happens until one of the Kachuk brothers run someone from behind. Like, I think that, I think that before arriving, guys are, okay, let's try hard. Then you get in there and the excitement and you want to win. Like, they're all these guys are, the apex predators. They want to get it done and get that win. So I think it'll start off at one level and finish at another much higher level.
Yeah, I think, look, it's going to be Canada, USA dropping the puck at the Bell Center on a Saturday night. Like, first best on best for this generation of superstar players for real. I can't help but think there's going to be some pop behind it. Now, if Connor McDavid has Matthias Ekholm lined up in the Canada-Sweden game, is he going to wallop him? No, I think you might see some quarter among teammates. And probably just a healthy level of respect, nothing cheap. But I do think that, there'll be good gamesmanship and competitiveness that we see. I hope so anyway. I'm going to be there covering it. I want the games. I want the guys to go hard and for the games to be good.
All right, so Canada versus USA. Speaking of that, starting over at 61 says, ask us anything. What are your thoughts of fans in Canadian arenas booing the U.S. anthem? And that's what I was wondering. We got Four Nations right around the corner where that might, I don't know, take on a bigger stage as well. So what do you think about seeing and hearing it now? And what do you think could be the repercussions if that carries into Four Nations, if anything?
Yeah. I'll start on that one. Well, first of all, and look, we're not going to be a political podcast. We've never really done that. But sometimes there's some crossover in discussion points. This is certainly one of them. I would say, given the news today, there's a 30-day delay in anything actually being implemented. So my thought process would be the booze didn't start until basically the tariffs were dropped in. And that's when we really started to see it. My thought would be that it'll back off in the meantime over the next month, that there's not really a need in the next month to do it, I would suggest. But Oiler fans are going to have that choice to make on Friday night, right? That'll be the first Star-Spangled Banner. But again, there's been a delay in the process. So with that said, Struds, what I would say is that I pass no judgment on any frustrated Canadian who in that time, whether it was in Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, wherever, I pass no judgment on those who decided to vocally protest that anthem. No judgment at all. For me personally, I would always stand for an anthem. I probably wouldn't be one to vocally protest myself, but certainly don't judge those that felt the need to. Struds, how about you?
Yeah, so Canadians, there's a lot of things I love about Canadians. Number one, though, is we're quite reserved, but when we feel like we're being pushed or someone's picking a fight with us, we get riled up. That's what we do. We're reserved until we feel there's a fight, and then we get going. And so we're feeling we're being pushed. Some people reacted. I don't blame them, right? Like that's what we are. We're not the loud people in the room, but if you push us, we're going to push back.
Yeah, for sure. There's one here that says, JJ says, I think it's silly to make it us against them. Americans didn't put the tariffs on. Well, no, JJ, but they did vote the guy in who said he was going to do it all along. So don't necessarily agree with that. He said all along he was going to do it, and then he did it. So I think for those who are booing the anthem, it's with that also in mind, that it was a big percentage of the population that got behind a guy who said from the beginning that he was going to be doing this. But we'll see what happens here on Friday night. Oiler fans will have to make that choice. But my thought would be it'll die down here for at least the next month, but we'll wait and see.
Okay. CK Pond, there's a few comments kind of on this same topic, talking about these projections of the cap going up by quite a bit, right? Over the next 3 years, I think they dropped the projections for. So CK Pond says with the cap going up drastically, is Connor going to cost 18 million or closer to 16 million? There was also some people, Dawson Nielsen, saying, do you think the Bouchard contract ticks up because of those projections of the salary cap? And one more comment on what a steal for Leon as well. Do you think this is going to be another Draisaitl contract where in 3 years Oiler fans are going to be looking at that as one of the biggest steals in the league? Maybe not. 14 is going to hold up for a little while, I think. But what are you guys' thoughts of how those salary cap projections are going to affect the team in the next few years?
I believe Draisaitl's camp would have had a sense of what was about to happen with the cap. I don't think this would have stunned them, but they're sitting there going, well, if we'd had any idea, the numbers would be different. I think they probably had a pretty good sense that this was coming, and that deal was structured somewhat accordingly. Struds, the interesting thing for the McDavid deal to me is going to be the gap between them, right? So we could see Leon Draisaitl. Would you be stunned if at the end of this season, Leon Draisaitl won the Conn Smythe, the Hart, and was a Stanley Cup champion? I mean, it's completely plausible that could happen.
Yeah.
So then what's the gap between him and McDavid as McDavid negotiates his next deal? It's $4+ million right now. Should it be that much moving forward? Couple Hart trophies for Draisaitl, and any given year has shown he can be as good as. That's the interesting thing for me in that discussion, Struds.
Yeah, I really don't have much to add to that. I think that you're 100% right. But I wonder about deferral, right? Does Connor look at deferral to help it? Help the team out with cap space, because he wants to win, so he'll get his money. And it's a lot of money. He's going to get a lot of money over the next 8-9 years, whatever it is. But I do think deferral might be an option for him.
Okay, a couple of sort of off the beaten path ones here. We'll wrap it up with. Paulie said, Polly says, ask us anything. Everyone has blinders at work, but we are behind the camera. What's the biggest blunder you've experienced in front of the camera? What's the biggest blunder you guys have seen or had happen to you on the air somewhere?
Yeah. Well, I was anchoring SportsCenter one time, and so people in the industry, or not in the industry, wouldn't know there's this element called Chiron. So Chiron in our industry is anytime you put up a full page graphic, that would be a Chiron graphic. And if you're reading off a teleprompter anchoring a show, it'll be like your lead will be in there. So you'll read your lead off the prompter, and then there's a line, and it says Chiron. And that's what then instructs you that there's a board that's about to come up on screen. You'll be reading over a board. Well, I was anchoring SportsCenter, and I got a little bit unfocused, and I was thinking about, sometimes you go on autopilot and you're reading but thinking about something else. And so I was like, yeah, are now trailing the Oilers by 2 points in the standings. Chiron, blah, 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 blah. And then I just started reading the next. I had no idea I even did it. Absolutely no clue. Dregs was sitting next to me on the desk because I was interviewing him in the next segment. He was dying laughing. And like, I walked off set after the show, no idea I'd even done it. I was like, hey, good show, everyone. One of the guys on the editing row was like, thanks, Chiron. And I was like, like, had no idea what he meant until someone explained it to me after. So that was my Ron Burgundy moment.
Yeah, I did. That's hockey. It used to be a show where they go through, all the games before or after and all that stuff. And I was on with my buddy Noodles, and no one coaches you. They just put you in the seat. They think you know what you're doing. I had no idea what I was doing. And my answers were so short. I remember there was like 5-second answers. And so Noodles would have to like jump in and like fill my space. And I'm looking like I'm doing great. And he's like, longer, right? Because there's video going on. I'm
Holy
like,
snap.
Like, it was so like, what do you think of Sidney Crosby? Man, is that guy skating well? And just silence, right? And then Noodles, so he's moving, he's playing with these guys. Like, it was so after the commercial break, they're like, hey, you can talk for longer than 5 seconds. I'm like, I have no idea. How do I know? I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So.
And since then, Struddy has never looked back and will not shut up. That was a turning point for him in his career. By the way, why did you all explain what That's Hockey is to us like it was on in the 70s? Like, it's still on online on our YouTube page. Everybody knows what That's Hockey is.
Right.
Okay. Gino Reda.
And they had it like in the morning, or sorry, after, with Gino, and then they had it. What was the one at night? There's another one at night too. Is it That's Hockey?
That's
at
Hockey
night?
Tonight or something like that.
Yeah.
Steve Koulias.
Same.
We had a bunch of different iterations of it.
Two
let's
answers.
I have to quickly, I'll tell this really quick. My favorite on-air blooper, because there were tons when you and I worked at CFRN at CTV in Edmonton, and one of my favorite ever of all time. No, not you actually. And this is on YouTube, I believe, when Joel Gottlieb broke the prize-winning pumpkin. Do you remember that? They had, it was like fall, autumn, and they had this lady on with this huge pumpkin, and it was going in the contest or whatever, and that's why they had it on. And he grabbed it by the stem to tilt it, and he's like, I want you to appreciate how big this thing is. And the stem broke off right in his hand. And then he looked, and it was live. It was one of those interviews, and he looks at her and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I hope that's not a problem. And she's like, yeah, it's disqualified if it doesn't have the stem. And he was like, oh, no.
No way.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I believe it's on YouTube. So check that out. Nice. Joel Gottlieb breaks a pumpkin. I'm sure it's there still. Okay, and then this was the last one, and this came real early in the show. Noel Rinsky is going to think I forgot about this. This might have even come in before we started. He says, would you ever consider drinking a sparkling yogurt drink? Stumbled upon it in a gas station. Well, that should be a tell right there. And let me tell you, it was good. Now, I wondered if maybe he just got one that had been opened. You know when stuff starts getting carbonated because it's been sitting there for too long?
Carbonated yogurt? Those words do not belong together ever.
Have to be in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. What flavor? Banana flavored carbonated yogurt. Ugh. No chance. All right. That was Ask Us Anything. Thanks for all your contributions, folks. Much appreciated. Brought to you by BJ Electric. Do we wrap up the poll, Zuby? What do we got?
I don't think we did, but we'll do it really quickly. We said, how do you feel about Evan Bouchard's overall game this season? 44% of the polling electorate said he'll be fine. 35% are somewhat concerned. 12% quite concerned. Only 7% said he's been good. So that's kind of telling too. very small group of
Yeah.
people think he's been good, but 44% think he's going to come around.
And I think it's good perspective. I think it's calm perspective, realistic about what he can be, what he's been, but how possible it is for him to get back there. So I like that level-headed result from Oiler fan. Let's wrap up the show with our play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental. They offer a full range of services to keep your smile healthy. Their experienced team providing personalized care with the latest technology to make sure you get the best treatment possible. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. Struddy, you got one for us?
Yeah, Northern Farm Girl. I mean, she nailed it on everything other than the whole Rishaug funny thing. I think that she nailed it 100% right.
You guys, you won't give it to me. The rest of the world knows, Struds. The rest of the world knows. I'm not saying funniest, not saying funnier, but just the rest of the world is willing to acknowledge I get my shots in. I get my shots in here and there.
I feel like you've turned it up since the poll. I don't know if you since the poll that was just decimating to you. I feel like you've had 4 or 5 pretty good zingers since then.
It was not
Since the
decimating.
joke.
It was fine. I'm confident. I'm confident.
The flattest joke in history.
It's
How come you have
such a
40 in your
good
pocket?
joke.
I like that joke. Now that might have hurt you in that poll because that came just before that. That might have been too fresh in people's minds.
Hurt my chances.
Yeah.
That did not help. Gord Parch says Shogger is funny. He knows how to play his role. Thank you, Gordy. See, some people get it.
Gord's a smart guy.
Some guys, someone's got to put it on the tee for you, Struds. There's no question you know how to step up there and hit it. Someone's got to put it on the tee for you. Another great
Every
show,
team-
Night
yeah.
Boys, says Dead Rat Man. What's that?
Sorry, every team has a Les Nessman.
All right, you get the last word again. Jeez, so damn good at that. I hate it. That'll wrap up the show. Fantastic job, Struds. Whatever you said that time, you'd muted yourself, so we missed that one. Zuby?
I could have sworn turkeys could fly. That's your line.
All right, that'll wrap it up. Great job, Zuby, and great job, Northern Farm Girl. Play of the day.
Yes,
Great
thank you.
reading our tarot cards or whatever we did there. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We will check in after the Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks. This was fun. Love the off-night pods. Talk again soon. See everybody.